Hey, welcome to the lake. This Ben with Studio on the Lake. Hey, Ben here with Studio on the Lake. So here's a fish. He was done in Dutch elm. This Dutch elm came from West Point. It was just a plank. You can see he kind of ended up as a. I'm going to paint him in an argyle shape. So start out with just a straight board. I've got a reference drawn off over on the right side, so I put a center line in there as always. And we're just drawing out the face and the head. Hey, hi Jordy, hi Just Carve Rob, everybody out there. Um, this is going to be a wall, just a kind of a wall hanging plaque, and pretty straightforward. So I'm drawing in red. You shouldn't draw in red because if you're a carver, you get red on your finger or something. People think that you're working through or you cut yourself. So here, I probably showed this a long time ago, but I'm changing out the disc. It's probably a 36 grit, 36, 48, something like that. 80 certainly works too, but I use this a lot. Makes a hell of a mess. It's nice if you got the big dust collector set up over in the corner to run. I don't recommend taking the guard off of this, and you can see I just hold it in my hand. Not recommended. So there's the blank cut out. He's going to get each individual fin glued in. You'll see the fins being glued in later. Now I'm drawing in the gill line, the fins, a couple of stylistic lines that are in there. Like I said, I do have a reference over on the right side. Those are where the two tail fins would go. So it's good to be back carving. I've got several, couple of videos that I need to edit on in there. But be sure to check out those guys down below. Jordy Johnson over at Carving Fusion, Just Carve Rob, of course. Kevin over at Sticks and Stones, Mark the Maker, all those guys. The links are all down below. So I'm using an Oz 2 Plus holder there, and it has a saber burr in there, green, and it's a taper point. This is going to be kind of this is what they would call low relief on the wall, hanging in there. The original intent with this wood's really pretty when it's finished. It's got a little bit different tone than black walnut, but it's got grain pattern everywhere. And I thought just a nice coat of shellac on this would work well. What I found out was that in order to do that, I'd have to sand the heck out of it and really get it smooth. So at the end of this video, you'll see I go back and turn this guy into a diamond pattern on his back. That OS 2 Plus is running about 40,000 RPM. And just rounding over the nose here. Cutting in the back of the gill there. And most of this video is run at 2 times the speed because there's not a whole lot to this. It's pretty straightforward. You're outlining and then just removing, recessing the wood away from that. I do have the dust collector going off on the right hand side, and then I have a fan that sits on the camera mic stand just to the left there, and that is blowing the dust kind of away, as you see. So the fins have kind of relatively straight lines, and you'll see 2.5 times the speed. Even I'm moving pretty slow and deliberate, kind of letting the burr cut as opposed to forcing it through there. But you'll see later when we add the fins on here that we're going to add vertical lines, straight lines on there, kind of as a visual design element. So that's 2.5 times right there, the speed. So here's it shows you in the middle. I kind of was doing kind of going to do a dot thing all the way down the back of this guy. So I put them in, and then I really didn't like the design, so I changed it over and decided that I was probably going to do something a little different. Here's a ball, saber bit, a little green ball. They come in several different. They come in red, would be the most aggressive, then green, and then you got yellow, which is less aggressive, and then you got one that's pretty fine, and it's a white one. And at some point, I'll switch over to a ruby bit and clean that up a little bit. Like I said, on the sanding, I should have really sanded the heck out of the back of that, and I didn't, and it was kind of too painful. And so here I'm setting up the fins. I've got pieces of scrap wood that the fish was cut out of, and then we're drawing the dorsal fin, big dorsal fin up on the back. And I'm leaving a little bit because he's going to be recessed in a V groove up on the back, and I'll epoxy that in with 5-minute epoxy. So then we've got the back fins, and there's 2 of those, and I can actually get 2 of them out of that board because I'm going to cut them in half because I want the fin to be a little bit thinner than the actual fish itself. So we just got one more fin, and that's that one that sticks down in the front there. Finally got an angle I liked on that. And poof, now it's over to the bandsaw. Cut those suckers out. So there they are, all cut out. I have not ran them. I would take them back to the saw and run those fins through a little bit thinner. But here's kind of the layout. And such. So there's the position of the tail that's going to go in there, and that will be put together with 5-minute epoxy. So here's a groove in the back, and that is a yellow Kutzall, again in the Oz 2 Plus handpiece. And then a little recess in the tail, and that will have a straight design. Again, the geometric form that I was shooting for on this was kind of straight lines on all the fins, and I did have a pattern over there. I didn't show you that. So here's 5-minute epoxy. The fin has been grooved and fit in there, and poof, there he is. That stain you see on there, I wanted him to hold and without me hanging on to him, so I shot a little bit of super glue in there, and then that's the accelerator that has the discoloring there. So I've got a little round burr in there. It's a ball, and it's a ruby bit, and I'm just kind of clearing the space away from the eye. You can see I've cut the one fin on the back, and I haven't completely recessed everything. I want to leave a rough face on the carving here. After I do the diamond pattern later on this, you're going to see that the face is left plain, and I think I'm going to leave the edge of the tail plain, and then the fins. So the fins won't get painted. The fish will get painted basically where I start the diamond pattern later, and you'll see that. So here's the vertical lines going in the one front fin, and I will come back over those with the ball, and now you can see all of them cut in there, and I'm cutting in the final on the tail. I end up doing kind of a crossover pattern on that later on. And that's actually real time there. That's a small saber spear point, and I believe it's a green one. So there was what I was. I thought I was probably going to leave that smooth like that, and I put some shellac on it. And it doesn't really show up in this, but you can see all the little imperfections in the back, and I didn't like that. So at a point here, I let this dry, polish it up a little bit, and I still didn't like it. So it gets a little special treatment, and that's the way all projects are. As they move along, they start to evolve, and they may or may not turn out something that you started with. That was for you, Jordy. Hey, there's so this is just old amber shellac. I really like using it. You've seen it before. And I'll take the amber shellac. It dries fairly quickly. In half an hour, it's completely dry. Here's a little short for you. There's a raven, where he's at. And he's a lot further than that. I've got to get those videos edited. He has a sparrow now with him. He has a little gnome. There's a burl in there. So, and this is for you, Rob, over at Just Carve Rob. So here was a dragon done a while ago. Was set up for the studio door handle, and then Rob spotted the dragon on the left there in the background. This was a dragon that was sitting on my lamp, and true to form, my new pup decided that he liked it better, so it needs to be repaired. And here's that dragon, Rob, that I'm working on kind of in the background. I'll put a video out. So you've got the fish doing his thing there, and I kind of like this a lot better. I actually do round over each of these little deals, so there'll be another video out there with it painted. So like, comment, subscribe as always, and if you can find yourself a Pixie Muse to keep you inspired. Hi, Pixie Muse. Bye.